What's up, Summer Squads? Our next topic, writing equations of polynomials. So all our videos we've been going forwards, let's go backwards now. So if I give you x-intercepts, how can you find the equation? Well, let's talk about this. Normally we start with the equation, and then what happens? We factor it, and then what do? We set it equal to 0, and then we find my x-intercepts. That's our normal step. Well, now we're gonna go backwards. I'm gonna give you x-intercepts. We're gonna write the factors of it. We talked about x-intercepts and then factors of it. And then we're gonna FOIL it instead of factor it to get our equation. So we're just literally just going backwards. All right, so let's take an example. We'll do something basic. So if I give you 2 and -3, these are my x-intercepts, and I want you to find me my equation of this that has these two guys. How do you do that? We're going to go backwards. So if 2 is my x-intercept, what is my factor? It's x minus that guy. If -3 is my factor, and -3 is my x-intercept, what is my factor? X minus that guy. So essentially, at the end of the day, we get x minus 2 and an x plus 3. We FOIL that guy, so you have x squared plus 3x minus 2x minus 6, you have x squared plus x minus 6. This equation will give you an x-intercepts at 2 and -3. So we're doing the same concept. If I give you another one, then we'll just have another factor, and then we'll just keep FOILing over and over again. So we need to practice going from x-intercepts to factor form, x-intercepts to factor form. All right. There's two other parts regarding writing equations. There is plus conjugate. So if I give you an x-intercept like I, and like let's say 2 and I, because I give you I, you also have to know that negative I is also an x-intercept. They come in pairs, so make sure that if I give you anything with I, then you're going to have to give me the negative I. If I give you negative I, then you have to give me the positive I. Another example, if I give you like 4 and I give you like 1 plus I, then because I know 1 plus I is an x-intercept, you also have to know 1 minus I is also an x-intercept. Right? Most of the time they won't give you one of them, you have to know that the other one is also present as well. It goes the same way when we talk about irrational as well. So if I give you 2 and then square root of 2, because we have square root of 2, we also have to say that negative square root of 2 is also an x-intercept. Same type of reasoning with the i's. If I give you like 2 and then 1 minus root 2, then what is that guy then? What else do I have? Good, you have 1 plus root 2. Alright, so they won't give you both. You'll have to know that if one is there, then the other guy has to be there. Alright, the reasoning behind that is with i's, if I have a problem like this, and I solve this, we subtract 1, and then we square root. Well, what happens when you square root something? You get 2 answers. You just get plus or minus that. So if I tell you that I is an x-intercept, you also need to know that negative I is also an intercept. They always come in pairs. Vice versa with square roots. If I gave you something like this, we add 2, square root both sides, you get what? Plus or minus root 2. So if I give you plus root 2, you also have to know that negative root 2 is also a solution as well. So let's do one more example. Let's actually do the full thing. If I take negative 2, I is an x-intercept, and I want you to write the equation, then what do we have to do? Write the factors out. So x plus 2 is a factor. We also have negative I. So you have x minus I and then x plus I. Alright. I'll FOIL these guys first. So you have x squared plus ix minus I squared. That cancels. We're left with x squared minus I squared. But what was I squared from our previous video? It's -1. So we have to write that. So when we write that, we get x plus 2. And you get x squared plus 1. And then from here, we just FOIL it out. If confusing with foiling, please watch my add, subtract, multiply video because the multiplying will help you. So you get x cubed plus x plus 2x squared plus 2. And I want to put it in order. So I'm going to move things around a little bit. That is my equation of a polynomial function that has x-intercepts at -2, I, and -I. So that concludes our lesson with writing equations of polynomials. Let's get ready for our basic, intermediate, and advanced level. Good job. All right, you guys ready? Let's try our basic. If I give you 1 and 4, and I tell you to write me the equation that has x-intercepts 1 and 4, and we'll say the leading coefficient is 1. I want you to try that, go backwards, I want you to factor it, and then FOIL it. All right, go. All right, let's take a look. If 1 is my x-intercept, what is my factor? Good, x minus 1. If 4 is my factor, what is my 4 is my x-intercept, what is my factor? X minus 4. It's quadratic. We FOIL this guy out. Combine these guys. And we get this guy. This is a quadratic function, but it's also a polynomial that has x-intercepts in 1 and 4, which has factors of x minus 1 and x minus 4. Try to focus on this. Try to understand that part. Once you have that, multiplying is easy. All right, so check your answers. You did it correctly. Our next problem, let's say I give you 1, -2i. So remember what my rule is if you have i's or square roots. Try your best, 30 seconds to a minute, go. All right, welcome back. Let's try it. If 1 is my x-intercept, what is my factor? X minus 1. What happens if you have -2, then positive 2i also has to be present. So then you have x minus 2i and then x plus 2i. I'll FOIL this guy first. If you notice here, it is actually a difference of 2 squares. You have a plus b, a minus b, so if you factor it, if you FOIL it, you can just say it's a squared minus b squared. If you want to memorize that, it helps. If you don't, you'll see that the middle 2 guys cancel out. So you technically have x squared minus 2i quantity squared, which is x squared minus 4i squared. What is I squared again? Good. -1. So we have x minus 1 and we have x squared plus 4 from here. And then we got to FOIL this out. So you have x cubed plus 4x minus x squared minus 4. So you have x cubed. Let's rearrange it. And we get that. So this polynomial function will have x-intercepts at 1, -2i, and then positive 2i. Check your answers. Make sure you got all that correct. Make sure you didn't forget that guy. Make sure you can go back and forth. Our advanced problem, which is very similar to our intermediate problem. If I give you -2 and then root 4, let's do root 5. I want you to find me all the x-intercepts from this. These are my x-intercepts. I want you to write the equation of this polynomial function. Don't forget about this guy. I'm going to give about 30 seconds to a minute. Go. All right, so if root 5 is an x-intercept, then negative root 5 also has to be an x-intercept. That's the first step. Now, same question. If -2 is my x-intercept, what's my factor? X plus 2. If root 5 is an x-intercept, then x minus root 5 is a factor. If negative root 5 is an x-intercept, then x plus root 5 is also a factor. Same thing here, like the i's, this is actually a difference of 2 squares. It's a plus b, a minus b. So you have x squared minus 5. And then here you have x plus 2. And then we just FOIL it out. So you have x cubed minus 5x plus 2x squared minus 10. And then let's rearrange it a little bit. And then we get that. We are good to go. This polynomial function will have x-intercepts of -2, square root of 5, and negative square root of 5. All right, try graphing a graphing calculator. You'll see your x-intercepts and your zeros. So that concludes our lesson with writing equations of polynomial functions. Hopefully this video has helped you. Please subscribe to my channel. Please turn on your notifications, and let's get ready for some math videos. Good job.